Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon. Today we talk about the topic organophosphorus poisoning, one of the most important poisoning in India, and we see most frequent in emergency department. Okay. So we will see in children perspective. Okay. So acute childhood poisoning is common, and it is challenging the pediatric emergency. But the children are susceptible to poisoning because of their curious and exploring nature and propensity to put everything in their mouth. So this is the one, this curiosity only making more organophosphorus poisoning incidents in India. See that majority of the poisoning in children less than 5 years of age are accidental, while in older children and teenagers, these are largely intentional. Okay, so when when we talk about pesticides, there are two components: organophosphates and carbamates. So organophosphates and carbamates are commonly used pesticides agent and most common cause of poisoning in developing nations. So organophosphate poisoning is most potent and carbamate is less potent. Okay, it is unusual for the serious symptoms to persist beyond 12 to 24 hours after exposure to carbamates, whereas toxicity of OP compounds lasts much longer. Okay. So, how do you identify organophosphorus compounds from carbamates substances? Most of the carbamates they will end with carb, bufencarb, aldicarb, carbon, carbofuran, so like that. So when we compare, okay, we are not from the agriculture society, so we are not related to organophosphorus poisoning. No? That is not correct because we still see organophosphorus compounds in our daily practice. See, surface and room spares, our heat spray, yeah, baits for cockroaches, head lice shampoo, and pet washes. All these compounds containing a small amount of organophosphorus compounds. Okay, so this is WHO color code, universal regarding the poisoning one. Okay, this is red label, extremely toxic. These are the components: monocrotophos, zinc phosphate. This is the rat poisoning. So yellow is light toxic, blue label is moderately toxic, green label is slightly toxic. See, our mosquito repellent oils, liquids, and most other insecticides means they are saying slightly toxic, but please remember that children are small, yeah. So even small amount of toxin in their body will have detrimental effects on the health. Okay, so we will see the pharmacokinetics. How? See, organophosphorus highly lipid soluble compounds. They are well absorbed by transdermal, transconjunctival, inhalational, and across gastrointestinal and gastrourogenital mucosa, and through direct injections also. They are rapidly distributed to all body tissues. Highest concentration will find in liver and kidneys. They cross the blood-brain barriers and produce potent effects on the CNS. Okay. So, how does organophosphorus substances causes toxicity? They cause toxicity by inactivating the acetylcholinesterase, resulting in excess of nicotine and muscarinic activity in both the peripheral and in the central nervous system. These agents form irreversible bond with and permanently inactivate the enzyme. On the other hand, carbamates irreversibly binds with the enzyme. So organophosphorus irreversible and carbamates are reversible. Okay. So we will go for physiology, where the acetylcholine receptors, there are two nicotinic receptors and muscarinic receptors. Nicotinic receptors, they are neuromuscular junction N1 and N2 is autonomic CNS, adrenal medulla. And muscarinic will see CNS, heart and smooth muscle CNS we will see how these receptor stimulation causes the organophosphorus poisoning clinical symptoms. Okay, so we will see the mechanism. This is pharmacology, that is physiology, no pharmacology. What is this? This irreversible bind. Organophosphorus irreversibly bind to uh, on the active site of extrinsic cholinesterase and establish a covalent bond. That is called phosphorylation. And phosphorylation, aging, loss of alkyl group and strengthening of covalent bond. This phosphorylated estrin cholinesterase is very stable. Okay. So inhibition of this estrin cholinesterase, what happens? There will be accumulation of estrin choline that causes the overstimulation of the cholinergic receptor presented both in at the neuromuscular junction, CNS, everywhere. So what will happen when organophosphorus compound is taken and it is bind irreversible to the estrin cholinesterase enzyme? What happened to their fate? They have only two ways. One, whether they should go reactivation or going by aging. Reactivation means spontaneous hydrolysis of the enzyme OP complex may take place many hours. It is accelerated by oximes. So I will let you know what is meant by oximes. Then with carbamate poisoning, the enzyme activity resumes 24 hours. And another one is called aging. If bond is more strong, yeah, then it undergoes aging. Once aging has occurred, the complex is difficult to split even with oximes. Enzyme resynthesis is the only way to restore the function. So for oximes means we will give compound called PAM for the organophosphorus poisoning. So what are the clinical features? So organophosphorus, as we have seen the physiology and pharmacology, now how it will be affect. So we learn about it has various route of absorption in our body. See, toxicity depends upon the route, duration of exposure, and observed dose. So acute poisoning is characterized by three phases. One is the cholinergic crisis, acute poisoning, intermediate syndrome, and delayed neuropathy. Okay. So this is the initial cholinergic phase where the enzyme is overstimulation of the receptors occurs. So what muscarinic, it affects on CNS, causing bradycardia, hypotension. In lungs, it increases secretions and bronchoconstriction. In eyes, it causes meiosis, increased lacrimination and blurred vision. GAT, increased elevation, vomiting and diarrhea. Sweat glands increase sweats and bladder increase the urination. And this is the most common mnemonics using dumbbells or sludge. Everything they will incorporate everything. Dumbbells for D for diarrhea, diaphoresis, urination, M for meiosis, B for bronchoria, bronchospasm, bradycardia, E for emesis, L for lacrimination, and even sludge also will is also muscarinic. This is one of the mnemonic for the remembrance of muscarinic effects. Then nicotinic receptors, symptomatic ganglion will be the N2 receptors. They cause tachycardia, hypertension, skeletal muscle, fasciculation, cramps, weakness, paralysis, respiratory arrest, and metrias. CNS, anxiety, ataxia, convulsions. Okay. So patient with severe poisoning may present with coma and respiratory failure, which may rapidly progress. So while recovering from cholinergic crisis, which is the acute poisoning, some patients suddenly develop respiratory failure. This is called intermittent syndrome. This syndrome literature showing it is most common in South Asian countries, where patient shows the improvement after 3 to 4 days. Suddenly he underwent a respiratory paralysis and requiring the ventilator. What are the late complications of poisoning include delayed neuropathy and a range of chronic neuropsychiatric symptoms. So what are the laboratory manifestations? Yeah, the diagnosis of organophosphate poisoning is based upon characteristic clinical signs, smells of organophosphate compounds, and uh, and activity of reduced butyryl cholinesterase in plasma or cholinesterase activity in the blood. Okay. So characteristic clinical signs what we have seen in nicotinic, muscarinic, nicotinic, and CNS. There is one more approach to poisoning called toxitrum. This is most important. Toxitrum, organophosphorus, we'll see the dumbbell signs and agitation. This is very important because sometimes history is not accurate. Suddenly one of the, they may see the patient in the somewhere and they will bring to the hospital. So there we will go with the toxicrome symptoms. Yeah. So clinical signs are most important. Okay. Meiosis, everything. And smell of organic components. Smell of, this is also very important because many patients when admitted in emergency ward, we used to do gastric clearance and we have to see the smell. So it will directly help us what type of poisoning they have taken if history is unclear, and reduce the activity of enzymes in the blood. Okay, so there are two types of cholinesterase. One is acetylcholinesterase and butyryl cholinesterase. So values less than of normal of either of the enzymes indicate severe poisoning. Okay, emergency treatment should not be delayed while awaiting the results of enzyme assess because these blood tests are not routinely occur. They will these tests will done in some higher laboratories only. So many of the members will go with the clinical symptoms and the smell of the organic compounds. Okay. So there are two enzymes. This is RBC acetylcholinesterase present on the surface of RBC. It mirrors the neuronal synapses acetylcholinesterase. It is a good marker for severity of poisoning. But disadvantage is it is very technically difficult to perform, and most of the laboratories are not doing it. And another one is butyryl pseudocholinesterase. This is present in liver and serum. This is affected in OP poisoning, also in alcoholism, cirrhosis, hepatitis. But most of the labs are using this one because this is easier to perform that test, and recovery indicated by 7% increase in level each day once OP is eliminated. This is a more useful marker for recovery. Okay. So how do you manage? So management is patient with severe toxicity should be admitted in ICU, no doubt. So before admitting ICU, we have to do decontamination because it is observed to transcutaneous also and affects also depending upon the duration of contact. So all personnel who are actively involved in decontamination process should wear mask, aprons, gloves to avoid secondary contamination. Nurse staff and doctor staff. So all the patient clothing should be removed and discarded, and the body should be thoroughly washed with mild soap and water. Okay, this is to avoid transdermal absorption if there is any contact with the skin. So after the initial thorough cleaning, the entire area, hair, nails, and intergenius area that is in between the fingers and genitalia should be washed second time. Okay, for injection, gastric lavage should be followed by installation and activated charcoal is indicated. That's 0.5 to 1 gram per kg. Charcoal can be repeated after 2 to 4 hours, and sorbitol can be used as catheter. This initial one is most important. Whenever the patient you are suspected organophosphorus poisoning coming to the pediatric emergency, first you should be protective, wearing mask, aprons, gloves to avoid second, and next you should wash the body, patient's body with mild soap and water, and gastric lavage and activation of charcoal. This is the basic. So, what are the drugs contraindicated in organophosphorus poisoning? One is aminophylline. Aminophylline which antagonize the action of PM. PM means oxides. Aminoglycosides worsen the muscle weakness. Yeah, antibiotic when admitted in ICU usually will give for antibiotics to prevent sepsis, aminoglycosides should be avoided. And choline, morphine is metabolized by cholinesterase. Hence, these effects are prolonged. If the patient is more agitated, they should not give morphine because the metabolism is impaired and the patient will be more sedated. So what are the treatment? There are only two antidotes. One is atropine, it reverses the muscarinic effects. And PAM, this is the full name, pralidoxime, aldoxime with iodate, which facilitate reactivation of acetylcholinesterase. And Indian studies showing that PAM has no beneficial use in organophosphorus, but so WHO educated to use PAM. So we are using the PAM, but atropine is the main line of choice in organophosphorus poisoning. And PAM, there is a benefit role because most of the Indian studies showing that it is not that much, it is not useful in organophosphorus poisoning, but WHO, which is a worldwide organization, advocate to use it. So we are using, we are also using PAM. This is controversial regarding PAM usage in organophosphorus, but atropine must be used. It is the first line. Okay. So palidoxime is not administered in patient with carbamate toxicity. Why? Because it bind reversible. So usually recover within 24 hours without the treatment. Since organophosphate and carbamate poisoning are clinical investigations, the initial therapy should be as PR of form or poisoning. So when we are benefit about whether it is carbamate or organophosphate poisoning, the benefit should be given to the patient. So we treat it as organophosphate poisoning. Okay. Since succinylcholine is metabolized by similar cholinesterase enzyme, it should be avoided during rapid sequence intubation. We have discussed it previously because during organophosphate poisoning, when the amount is known, they cross the blood-brain barrier and patient will be so much agitated. For the agitated patient, it is difficult to put intubate. At that time, we should not give scoline because scoline is also metabolized by similar cholinesterase enzyme, which are inhibited by the present organophosphorus compounds. Okay. So any patient which is who are very severe, we follow the protocol. First, ABC, check airway, breathing, and circulation, and provide 100% oxygen. If required, require mechanical ventilation. Okay, and we should have two IV large bore needles. IV needles should be there to administer IV fluid to correct shock, anything, and to give atropine. And we have to record the pupil size, sweat, pulse rate, and blood pressure after the first dose. And this is the palidoxime PAM doses, 25 mg per kg IV over 20 to 30 minutes, and then in continuous infusion. Okay. So we'll read detail about atropine now. How to give in organophosphorus poisoning in the patient. So atropine is the competitive antagonist of acetylcholine and muscarine receptors, and but it has no effect on nicotinic muscle weakness or paralysis. Okay, it does not affect the acetylcholinesterase regeneration rate. Okay, atropine is indicated for control of pulmonary secretions and bronchospasm. It has secondary role in helping the controlling seizures and CNS manifestation of poison. Why? Because atropine crosses the blood-brain barrier. Okay. Atropine therapy should be started at the first sign of cholinergic excess. In general, more atropine is required in the first 24 hours. Yeah. Their requirement may be decreases when we simultaneously use it with PAM. Okay, the dosage of atropine is 0.05 mg per kg in frequent boluses every 10 minutes as needed. Okay, so the main end point for atropinization, okay, is the resolution of bronchoria, where we hear the bees, and normalization of heart if bradycardia was present. So other signs people no longer pinpoint dry axilla and normal blood pressure. So this is the most important. Mydriasis is a poor marker for adequate heterogenization. In organophosphorus poisoning, adequate heterogenization means resolution of bronchoria, that is B's. Okay. Sometimes we can remember focal crepitation and B's when there is pulmonary aspiration. Okay, but when they ask what is the end point for heterogenization in organophosphorus poisoning, means it is a resolution of bronchoria. Okay, presence of all signs is not mandatory to label a patient as adequately heterogenized. So if heterogenization is not achieved by 3 to 5 minutes, the dose is double. So we are continuously will increase the double the dose every 3 to 5 minutes until the heterogenization is achieved. And we discussed previously, larger doses may be required in some patients. Okay. After heterogenization means resolution of bronchoria, not mydriasis, resolution of bronchoria. Then we will maintain the infusion 10 to 20% of total loading dose required for heterogenization. Okay. A common pitfall is inadequate atropine dosing. Okay. High dose of atropine is commonly needed for control of secretion. And we will regulate that, give heart rate, pupil, temperature, everything. Regular clinical observation is mandatory to ensure maintenance of adequate heterogenization and prevent the over heterogenization. Okay, over heterogenization again will cause anticholinergic symptom. Again, that is also problematic. Okay. So in case of over heterogenization, we will stop the atropine infusion and check that there is no signs of anticholinergic. When they set in, we'll restart 70 to 80% of the previous rate. Okay. The patient should then be frequently to ensure that new infusion rate has reduced the signs of atropine toxicity without permitting reappearance of cholinergic signs. Tachycardia is not a contraindication to give atropine. Okay, because we have to see why there is taking, because in organophosphorus poisoning, we will see there is bradycardia because of CNS effect. So when giving atropine, if you get profound tachycardia, it does not indicate the over heterogenization. We have to see it may be due to hypoxia, is there or hypovolemia. Patient is in shock, we do not, or over sympathetic stimulation. Okay. So what are the signs of atropine toxicity? So it will be blind because mydriasis is not able to see. And the temperature, high grade of temperature will be there. Skin will be dry. His face will be flash, and he will be in hallucination. Okay, anticholinergic side effects. Okay, over heterogenization will cause this. So sometimes we will see the patient, there is no CNS effects, no agitation, only peripheral. We can give glycopyrrolate because glycopyrrolate cannot crosses the blood-brain barrier. It will have only peripheral action. But this one is very rare because many patients with organophosphorus poisoning will also have CNS effects. So we will continue the PAM infusion till atropine is no longer required for 12 to 24 hours and the patient is extubated. The patient requires mechanical ventilation. We have to put a tidal volume less than 6 ml per kg. Okay, while weaning from mechanical ventilation, it should be a pressure support mode. Okay, sedation with benzodiazepine to combat atropine-induced agitation. If features of cholinergic crisis occur, again we will start the PAM and the atropine. Okay. So emergency cardiorespiratory stabilization is priority and preceded diagnosis, because many times we will not get the proper history of poisoning, whether they have taken a pesticides or any other thing. So we have to stabilize them and go for toxidrome syndrome. So while the patient is being, then if they bring any bottle to you, if you do not know how this compound is acting, if acting we do not know what are its effect, how to treat them. Yeah. So then we can go for AIMS Education Department of Pharmacology. Their detail of the compound of their list is available so that we can know that what are its side effects of that particular compound and how we can treat it. And this is 24 into 7 phone line numbers also helpful. This is managing by AIMS department at New Delhi. Okay. Are there any other questions regarding this? And this is most important topic MBBS final exam. So they may ask you for 4 months or 10 months. Yeah, since time is available, we'll go. Are there any other questions? One second, I will come now only. అయిపోయింది నేను షాప్ డౌట్స్ ఎట్లా మీరే అడగాల్సింది. చాట్లో ఇది రికార్డ్ అవుతుంది. processes. Are there any doubts? Please ask, because we have still a lot of time.
Thank you, sir.
And